were both wrong on the Rays, though. I should note that because the Red Sox just outslugged them a series. I don't think the Red Sox had a signature pitching win, but you look at the bats, they just came out to play and they tore apart. It didn't matter their starters. It didn't matter their relievers. They were all over Rays pitching. And it's only right that they close it out again in Fenway. It's honestly great. I know we like to see some new blood in here, but I kind of like seeing Fenway during the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. So the fact that we have an ALCS, it's going to be back in Fenway, I think is kind of cool. And let's talk about their opponents too. They get the Houston Astros, who put away with the Chicago White Sox. Now, I found funny about that series. Obviously, you have a White Sox reliever who was accusing the Astros of sign stealing yet again. But as it turns out, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the year. Doesn't matter sign stealing, whatever's going on here. The Astros are just good. You just have to give it to the Astros. They're just good. They have Hall of Fame, all-star, all-pro talent. Carlos Correa, I like that he had a little bit of a clap back too at that guy in his post-game interviews. I think that's just sour grapes, honestly. When you're the White Sox, you're the relievers, you're just getting pounded by their bats. You just kind of want to make some noise and cause some issues. And I got to give it to the Astros in that particular instance to overcome that and just put a team away. So we have a good series on hand. This is going to be a very good series. You definitely know offensively, we're going to see a lot of back and forth. I'm just curious to see what the dynamics are of whose pitchers will have that signature postseason moment. What's your pick heading into this one?
So I had said coming into the playoffs that I felt that the Houston Astros were the best team in the American League by a significant amount. And I did not think that they would be playing the Red Sox. I thought it would be either Tampa or New York going into the playoff series because Boston kind of faded a little bit towards the back end of the season. And then I figured out Boston might actually have the deepest lineup in all of baseball at this point. I mentioned the stat going into the Rays Red Sox series. Those teams had 0 players hitting below league average OPS this year. And the Boston Red Sox were awesome against the Rays. Like you said, they didn't have a signature pitching performance. And in 2 of those games, they had to have like 3, 4, 5-run comebacks to win game 2 and game 4 against Tampa. It was a super interesting series because Boston's this lovable team again. It hasn't happened very much in 20 years. It was after the Boston Marathon season, then Boston becomes the team everyone's rooting for. And other than that, they're just the team that dominates everyone or they don't make the playoffs. That's kind of just Boston's MO. Raphael Devers hit a home run in game 4 where I thought I was looking at my phone and I looked up and I thought something had broken in my room because I had never heard a baseball sound the way it did when Raphael Devers went 440 to dead center field with that home run. He's unbelievably good. He's having a playoffs to remember. JD Martinez kind of healthy. He's there. I do want to just give the Astros love. I think the Astros are going to win 5-6 games. Maybe the Red Sox extend it to 7. I'm not saying like the Red Sox can't win this series. I just think Houston is better in their batting lineup. They're top heavier than Boston. They have 2 really good starters in McCullers and Framber Valdez. I don't know who's going to start a game 3 for the Astros at this point, but those 2 are definitely secure in their pitching rotation. I'm still rolling with Houston because nothing I saw from the first week of the playoffs suggests that, 1, I was incorrect about the Houston Astros being the best team in the American League, but 2, also anyone being able to catch them just because Boston feels like a fun story that's going to fade out. I forgot we were doing our preview of the White Sox Astros series, and I forgot to mention Michael Brantley and Yuli Gurriel when talking about how great that Astros lineup is, because those are the MLB's 2 leaders in batting average this year. And I didn't even mention them when talking about how stacked the Houston Astros lineup is with Yordan Alvarez and Altuve and Bregman and Correa, who those guys being the core of the 2017 World Series team have kind of embraced being the heels now. And the rest of the people are just kind of there at this point. I didn't even mention Kyle Tucker this time. So there's just so many good bats.
We did mention Kyle Tucker last one, and he did have a big hit at least. So we covered the bases there as Kyle Tucker literally covered the bases on the field.
Yeah, I forgot about mentioning him in this time around. So it's 8 batters deep plus Martin Maldonado. That team is just so good. The Dodgers and Giants are giving me pause for me to say, I think the Astros might win the World Series this year. I don't ever make World Series picks because the World Series is always so random, but I said the Astros were the best team coming in. I feel good about that. I'll take the Astros to win the series, but it's not like I'm saying, like I said before, there's no chance the White Sox can beat the Astros. There's a chance Boston can beat Houston. I just think Houston is better on paper by about a game or two than the Boston Red Sox. So I'll say Astros in 6, but give or take a game. Could be 5, could be 7. I'll just split the difference and say 6-game series. I do have one fun stat, though, that the Astros in the post-World War II era are now the 3rd team to make it to 5 consecutive league championship games, joining the 90s Braves and the 90s New York Yankees into the 2000s. It was like 1996 to like 2001, I think, with the Yankees. But it's a great run the Astros have been on here of the last half decade.
I think the Astros are the most successful example of tanking in all of sports. When you look at how they bottomed out and they had that, what was it, that ESPN Sports Illustrated cover that's introducing your 2017 World Series champions that ended up being a true proclamation.
The article that came out in
Yes.
2015,
Yes.
that for people who don't know, to introduce that team in 2015, they said they'd win the 2017 World Series.
And it, lo and behold, it happened. Sure, you could, of course, throw in a cheating scandal in there, of course, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, this team just, you look, like you mentioned, names we didn't even mention. That's good that there's so many names that we can't even mention them all in the preview video here. I'm going to lean Astros in 6 as well, mostly because I think the Red Sox are a good enough team that their bats will just show up one game and the Astros won't be able to keep up. I think they're going to win a game in Fenway, for example. So I think between those two factors, I got to see the series going 6 games. I'm not going to completely rule out the Red Sox, but the Astros, everything they got going on, and the 5 straight ALCS appearances, I think is a great example of like just a well put together team. The only thing that I think could possibly hold them back, and I hate speaking this into existence, would be Dusty Baker's run of postseason success. It is one of those things that has always fallen around Dusty like a dark cloud over his career. I hope he breaks that. I hope he finally gets his ring. If my Giants don't get there, I should say. I hope he finally gets his ring if the Giants don't get there. That's a big caveat there that I have to throw in.